Hello YouTube, today we're going to look at one of the most hyped games in the Commodore 64 library. It was one of the last commercial games to be released in 1994 and yeah, it's very strongly held as one of the greatest platformer games of the Commodore 64. The game I'm talking about, it featured on Commodore Format magazines towards the end of Commodore Format. And the magazine itself, the editors, they kept going on and on about how wonderful the game was, with good reason, because it was a great game. That's Mayhem in Monsterland. It was just a technical achievement of the time. It really pushed the hardware to its limits, and a lot of people were very excited about this. But sadly, around 1994 when it released, a lot of people have already moved on to consoles like the Super Nintendo or the Sega Mega Drive or Genesis if you're in America. So yeah, it was a solid game, and it was trying very hard to be like a console game rather than being for a personal computer. So Mayhem in Monsterland, it becomes synonymous with Commodore Format. Every issue it would be Mayhem in Monsterland, it would offer you music mixes on demo tapes, you know, from the Hits Twins. Behind Mayhem in Monsterland, it would offer you full level layout mapping, if you like. It would keep talking and talking about Mayhem in Monsterland. I mean, if I look in issue number 44 here from May 1994, just open up the page and you can see there's just plenty of Mayhem in Monsterland material, you know, full page, 2-page spread there, and I think they worked well together. There's Commodore 64, obviously the community was fading away during that time, and Mayhem in Monsterland, it almost put a nail in the coffin, or a coffin in the nail, whatever you call it. So without further ado, let's take a look at the gameplay. I'm guessing most of you Commodore 64 fans have seen it. If you've not played it, then, well, here you go. So what can I say about Mayhem in Monsterland? I mean, it's been reviewed X amount of times, more times than I care to remember. It's been talked about endlessly, you know, on various forums and pages on the internet. So let's just look at the game at face value. It's a lovely looking game, there's no denying that. It looks spectacular for its time. No one would imagine in 1982 that this sort of game would be produced on a Commodore 64 back in 1994. It would have been, no, you can't do that. But anyway, it happens, and the game, it plays really well. It's very smooth to play. It's really nice to control the character, Mayhem of course. And every time you jump on a baddie, it feels nice. It's a very fresh game. It feels good to play. But yeah, every time you jump on a baddie, you know, the stars come out, and it just looks really spectacular. So yeah, there's no denying the look of it, the aesthetics of it are definitely worthwhile checking out. Now the gameplay itself, I mean, you know, the mechanic of it is fairly basic. You go level to level and you're collecting stars, and you throw the stars down a little hole, down a well, so I used to call it, and then all of a sudden you go into a dark sort of, you know, bad mood part of the game, of the level, and you're doing the same sort of thing over and over again. And it sounds tedious, but it's not. It actually plays really well. It's got this really nice flow to it, which doesn't seem too monotonous when you're playing it. So it's very unlikely you've never heard of Mayhem in Monsterland, but if you've not, then yeah, it was probably one of the last Commodore 64 commercial games on the shelves. And you know, it's the only game in Commodore 64 history which is scored 100% from a magazine, which was Commodore Format. Now, some debate that it got 100% to sell the magazine and then to sell the game, as it was one of the last games, but I'm not too sure. I mean, like I say, the game itself, there, you know, that was it was a major achievement for its time. So 100% in my opinion, it's worth it, definitely, absolutely. So check out Mayhem and Monsterland. Sidetronic reproduced it. Personally, I've got the diskette version and the cassette tape version, and they come in a very nice presentation with the glossy colour inlays. So buy a copy of it, and you also get a digital download, and you can play it on the emulator. So let me know what you think of the game. Did you ever finish the game? Personally, I've never finished a game. I think I've got to the second, maybe the third stage, and I died, and I think something happened, as it does, and I never returned back to it. But now I am, and I'm adamant I'm going to finish the game. So yeah, let's hear your comments. Thanks, guys.